Hey there! We'd love for you to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you're helping us spread the word and connect with more amazing people like you.
Welcome to We Be Parents, where parent doctors Matthew Lederman and Alona Pulde explore current parenting topics, share stories, and help bring families closer together.
Hello, and welcome to We Be Parents, where we dive into the joys and challenges of parenting and uncover tools that help us create more connection in our families. I'm Dr. Alona Pulde.
And hi, I'm Dr. Matthew Lederman.
And today we're exploring something incredibly powerful: how our emotions ripple through our families and shape our children's ability to regulate their own emotions, something called co-regulation.
Before we jump in, which I'm excited to talk about this topic, don't forget to hit the subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, we're here to support you with real, practical parenting tools every single week.
All righty.
How you feeling?
I am getting over a cold. Very happy to be on this end of it, but you might still hear that over our little discussion today.
I like the raspy voice. That's exciting.
Oh, well, thank you. Let's get started. You know, this one, I often think, oh, who doesn't get impacted by this, right? You have a tornado in the room, whether it's me or you or one of the kids, and how can that not impact everyone else?
And depending on how you're doing, then their reaction, especially if it seems unreasonable, like they fall apart because they get the wrong color cup or something, you know, it's just, how do you regulate your nervous system? How do you regulate with someone else's? How do you support that? It's interesting. It's not easy all the time, but at the same time, it's very powerful when you understand the dynamic.
Yeah. And I like that idea of the tornado. I am very visual. And so that notion of this spinning thing that can easily suck you in, you're both spinning together, or you can watch it from a distance and help it peter out. And it does really depend on what state you're in, you know, kind of how all the stars align, right?
Yeah, sometimes when I'm working with parents, I'll say the first thing is to check where your energy is. And if you're triggered or activated, the best thing you could do is walk away, keep your mouth shut, walk away, do some self-empathy, get some empathy from someone else. If you're grounded and not activated, then you can dive in and empathize and help regulate the other person.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to check in first. And I think a lot of times we're so focused on learning, what do I say? What do I do? Versus let's check in first.
You might also be saying, make it stop, make it stop. And so, yes, that is the topic for today, co-regulation.
And when you talk about the tornadoes, just to be clear, you're talking about the kids and not me, right?
Oh, it can be you. I can be the tornado sometimes too.
All right. I don't want to say anything, but now that you brought it up.
Yes.
You can be a tornado too.
There have been many an occasion where I've been the tornado in the room.
It's a beautiful tornado, though.
Not at the moment where it's spinning out of control. But the topic of today, co-regulation, and that is so evident not only when when there's a tornado, but also when there's rainbow and sunshine in the room, how contagious that positive energy can also be. So in the midst of celebration, it's hard not to get sucked into that celebratory spirit. You know, it's one of the things people love about like amusement parks like Disneyland or Universal, or you get in there and so many people are experiencing that presence and that joy. It's hard not to absorb yourself in that.
And the idea of other people's emotions can trigger similar emotions in us. Have you ever had that experience?
Absolutely, where you mirror other people's experience.
Yeah, mirror neurons. I think that those are really fascinating once I learned exactly what those did and that I can actually mirror the state of the other person. It's not a conscious thing. My body is going to perceive your body, your state, your physiological state, and then I'm going to regulate or sort of match it. So if you see someone smiling, the same neurons that fire when you smile are activated in your brain. It's really interesting. Like if you watch someone pick up a cup, their brain will mirror that action as if preparing to do the same thing. So it's pretty fascinating that it can really help with empathy, for example. How a lot of people are like, what do I say? But actually, just if you come with empathic energy and compassion, your whole body changes. The muscles in your face, the tone, the pace of your language is going to all communicate to the other person's nervous system, hey, we're safe. We can calm down here. Or it could say, oh my God, this is a catastrophe. We got to quickly fix this. In fact, when kids spill something, and I had the, parents have, oh my God, it's a spill. And then they'd rush to fix it. And even though they were saying, it's okay, sometimes they were, sometimes they weren't. But it didn't matter what they said. It was how quickly they had to try and fix it. That communicated to me that there's actually something wrong. Something's not okay here. So when a kid gets really upset, even though we're telling them it's okay, but we're trying really hard to calm them down with our words and our actions, we're communicating a different message. And I think it's important, not only what we say, but also the energy that we're in and our whole expression of our bodies.
Yeah. And I think we're, in situations where, because we're not always going to be able to get to calm, but I think if we can even name that, yes, I'm feeling a little bit worked up, but this is not a big deal. Or, where you're owning your energetic state, not pretending that it doesn't exist, using language that's totally contrary to how you're showing up.
Yeah, because even that language regulates the other person. If you're upset and you use language that's like everything's fine, but you're clearly upset, that there's an incongruence there that's very off-putting to the other person's nervous system. When you use language and vulnerably share that you're upset, that is actually more calming because now there's congruence and that creates a sense of safety and security.
Exactly. So it really is a dance that you do, whether in partnership or in parenthood or at work, where you're engaging in this dynamic dance that continues.
And it's the authenticity. Just like you said, I think that's such an important point. Just because I want people to be calm, if I'm not feeling calm, then trying to get them calm is actually going to have the opposite. It's going to have a dysregulating effect. So you ever see where somebody like stubs their toe and like whacks their toe and you can almost feel it in your body, like, oh, like you flinch almost with the same pain. But if they're like really hurt and they're laughing and like, this is great, but they're physically, they appear really upset, your body's just going to feel there's something off with this picture. So it's so regulating, and part of the co-regulation process is vulnerably sharing where you are, ideally without attacking or blaming the other person if you're upset. So it lands well when you explain where you're coming from as your process, not because of the other person doing something wrong or something like that. But as long as you're keeping it about you, it works well.
The visual that I have as you're talking about that, somebody else getting into pain, it's when toddlers fall and parents' reaction, they're shocked or they're scared or they express concern, and then the toddler starts to cry. Whereas if the parents didn't say anything, the toddler would be absolutely okay. And that almost innate mirroring, we do it just like you said, subconsciously without thinking. Just by looking and being connected and in close proximity to someone else.
Yeah. So you can even be in pain, but if you don't learn how to regulate your nervous system, you can't then communicate back. Well, here's what we do with our pain. So you have this new baby that's not sure how to regulate their nervous system. They're looking to the parent or their caregiver. And if the caregiver doesn't have tools to regulate their body, everybody's left with lack of clarity of what to do, how to calm.
Yeah. And this matters in the parental field on so many levels. The first, and you mentioned it, that the family functions almost as one nervous system. When one person shifts, everyone naturally feels it. And I think that's particularly because we become so attuned to one another, spending so much time together, that attunement really wires you to mirror those emotional states more quickly.
Yeah, we feel it in our family. I have an intensity that if I don't do self-care and regulation on a regular basis, I can have an intensity that ripples through the family. And I see it with the kids in particular. I'll see their reactivity shift based on how my intensity is being channeled.
Good noticing.
Just that's where you're supposed to say, no, you're not intense. This is your great.
We're talking about being authentic here, correct?
All right.
We talked about that. I'm just going to emphasize it again. That stress, that tension, it is contagious in the same way that celebration and joy and laughter are contagious. And calm is contagious. When we can bring ourselves to calm, how easy it is, or it feels easy for everyone else to get there as well. So a situation that could be completely overwhelming all of a sudden feels quite manageable if there's a significant energy of calm.
Yeah, that calm is contagious and it's so impactful. That's why I love the We Become. Some people will say, hey, how can this make a difference? Like we use it with the kids every night before bed. And it's 60 seconds, 5 breaths, 5 repetitions. You have this device that teaches you the proper way to calm your body. When we all do that, we calm. When I do that by myself, if I come downstairs after doing it, there's a different sense of energy that I have that then ripples through the family. And to me, that's what's so powerful, is that it doesn't take a lot. It takes consistency. It's not like you have to lift this huge weight. It's that you have to lift the small weight every day. This episode of We Be Parents is brought to you by We Be Calm, the child calmer designed by doctors and loved by parents.
Struggling with bedtime routines or managing your child's anxiety? We Be Calm transforms deep breathing into a fun and engaging activity, helping kids find their inner calm. Perfect for bedtime stressful moments or any time your child needs a little extra help to stay calm. Visit webecalm.com to learn more and bring tranquility to your family. We Be Calm, because we be in this together.
The We Be Calm is a fun, playful way for us to introduce it, a way that didn't meet resistance, but was met with excitement with our kids. The underlying current, which I think you mentioned, and I think parents sometimes forget, is tantrums, misbehaving, acting out. A lot of that is indicative of dysregulation. And if we can recognize that, then helping kids in those moments get to regulation is what can really change the outcome. And, you mentioned sleep. Sleep was a really big deal, especially with our oldest daughter, Kylie. And still, she's very energetic during the day. And then expecting her to just peter out just because it's 9 o'clock just doesn't seem to happen. And so her body continues to be revved up, and then sleep is really difficult. But with the We Be Calm, she in several breaths can get her body back to calm, and she's asleep in minutes. It's amazing, really.
Yeah, and what I like about it too is that throughout the day we can tell each other, hey, do you want to take a wee bee breath? And by doing it every night for months, you have this neural pathway that you've created, this path that messages from your brain go to your body, and it becomes this easy way to turn on calm. And that's really, some people say, I'm always stressed. Well, you get stuck in stress because you've created neural pathways that reinforce stress, making it very easy for that experience to manifest. And, sort of like, think of it as a slide going from the second floor to the first floor. If you have this fast, lubricated slide that you go on and you shoot down, that's a very reinforced neural pathway. The way you get that slide lubricated is by doing it every single night. But instead of practicing stress, now you can practice calm. So during the day now, without the device, I'll ask them to take a webe breath, and they'll do it. And it's interesting because, like I said, it's just like lifting weights, strengthens your body. Practicing the webe breath creates these neural pathways. And at first, I remember thinking this myself, and that breath work, it seems sort of weak. That's what I used to think. And just like a tiny stream against a mountain, where it's like nothing. This huge, strong mountain, this little stream. But, with repetition, that weak stream can carve a valley. And I was like, I think about it that way. Over time, your breath can carve this path to calm. So I get this visual in my brain of this stream that's seemingly weak, carving this really deep, strong valley in this mountain. And that's the way I think about doing this breathing every night and calling upon it during the day. And that's what's happened. And then it not only benefits the kids, benefits me, and any of us can take a webe breath, and that sort of ripples throughout the whole family, the calm. And it's so exciting to put all those pieces together.
Yeah, I love it. One more piece that I was kind of putting together, and maybe it's a little bit abstract, but I was thinking, we can co-regulate with one another, but it's almost like if we look at our own person as parts, there's the brain part, there's the body part, and they can co-regulate in the sense that if our body is taking webe breaths, we're sending that message to our brain that we are safe. If our brain is telling us, okay, we are safe, our body can co-regulate to that message by taking those webe breaths. And if we know, the more we know what to do, the easier it can be done in moments when it's most needed. And I think that kind of puts us into what is the tool that we would recommend to parents to keep in mind in situations like this.
Yes. Well, I think to me, like you said, the more you can do it, I think of it as calming instead of food nutrients, where you want to get as many food nutrients in as you can during the day with healthy eating. Think of this as calming nutrients. You want to get in as many calming nutrients throughout the day, messages of safety to your nervous system. And breathing is a fantastic way, the slow exhalation. So taking webe breaths throughout the day is super helpful. And especially if you know that you're taking the breaths correctly, that's where the webe calm is helpful to actually mold and a container for which you can see, okay, this is the right breath. This is how it should feel. And then doing that regularly throughout the day. So to me, that's a really important thing. Start bringing in, it's 60 seconds, 5 breaths through, every hour, every couple hours, whatever works for you.
Topics and tools.
The tool that we want to talk about today that I think fits nicely with all of this is the reset ritual. So when you notice dysregulation, tension, stress, whatever you want to call it in yourself or your child, you want to try these steps. So first would be pause and notice. What energy are you bringing to the moment? Where is your energy? And it's not to judge it or change it, it's to name it. And I don't know if you've heard of name it to tame it. But all of a sudden, when you name something, you can see it and you can step out of it. You unblend from that experience, from that energy, so that it's in front of you, almost like you're holding it on your hand versus it being, sort of fully encompassing you. So step away from it, pause it, notice it. Oh, I'm feeling this frenetic energy right now, this intensity. And then once you pause and notice, then the next step is to take 3 deep breaths. And that's where we do the webe breaths. And by practicing every night, your body knows exactly what to do during the day. It's that breathing neural pathway. And it's just an inhale. You can do it for inhale of 4 and then an exhale of 8. And I also like when you make the sound like the with your throat. That vibration stimulates the vagus nerve. That does run by the pharynx, and it also helps turn on the calming in your nervous system, the parasympathetics. So that webe breath is really helpful. And the third step is then ground yourself. Feel your feet on the floor and bring your awareness to your body. Again, that helps separate you from and unblend you from the tension or the stress or whatever the energy is. And then once you feel your feet on the floor and you're grounded on the floor, then you soften your body, relax your face, and you can just breathe into these different areas. Breathe into your shoulders, breathe into your face. You can even sometimes I'll touch my face as I'm doing it, and just tell the muscles that it's okay to soften just a little bit. They don't have to stop feeling tense if they don't want to. You don't want to put pressure on them, but just say, hey, do you want to create a little bit of space around you so you can move more freely? So that's sort of the energy, not to try and stop or change them, but just soften, make a little space. And then the fifth step is to reconnect. So whether it's with you or let's say you're reconnecting with your child, make eye contact, offer a warm tone, make sure your pace and your voice and the energy and the words that you're using is all about just reconnecting at this point. So those will be the 5 steps. Pause and notice is step 1. Take 3 deep breaths. 2. 3 is ground yourself. 4 is soften your body. And then 5 is reconnect.
I love that on so many levels because the first thing that I love about it is it really allows you the moment to ground yourself and remind yourself about the importance of doing that before connecting to someone else. And it sounds like it's this lengthy process, but it can happen pretty quickly.
Yeah, and that's very important. The pause and know, okay, I'm feeling a little tense right now. And then I feel my feet on the floor and I'm touching my face. And then I'm reconnecting, and sometimes I'll touch my leg. Because reconnection it doesn't have to be with someone else. It can be with myself. I'm talking to myself out loud. Yeah, Matt, really stressed out. But you see how my voice is calm and I'm empathizing with myself. This is called self-empathy. I can touch my leg. It's reassuring. And it's like, we're okay right now. I used to say, I'm safe. Everything's okay. There's time. Just to make space. And that tends to really calm the nervous system.
Yeah. And I love that in that calm, you can find expansive strategies, even humor. You know, one of the things that I just had a memory when Kylie was young, maybe she was 5, Jordan maybe was 3, and she was sitting in her room. Kylie was sitting in her room and she was upset with me about I have no idea what. And I was trying to talk to her and she was really upset and I took a moment, I remember it very clearly, to kind of ground myself. And in connecting with her, I started saying, oh, you are, mirroring her. Oh, you are so mad. You are so mad. But my body was calm. It just goes to show that it doesn't matter what the words are, so she started engaging. She's like, yeah, I'm really mad. And I said, oh, but they're all by yourself being mad. And we went back and forth. And finally I was like, Kylie, how about we sit together and be mad together? She said, yeah, that's a great idea. And so I come sit next to her and I'm like, okay. Well, now, who are we mad at? We're mad at Jordan. And so it was so funny how she switched, and she let me in, and her whole kind of picture changed based on not even my words, because my words were, we're mad and you're mad. But my energy, which was inviting and open and calm. And so I find that, like, I snicker when I think about that, and wish that I could connect to that level of humor now, which sometimes can be pretty challenging. But I think when you can remember to step back and take those few seconds even to ground yourself and find your own feet, what becomes available to you as far as connecting to someone else is quite rich.
And that really regulated her and you at the same time.
No skills to pro skills.
So, what would this look like as a no skills when we go, we talk about no skills to pro skills? What would it look like as a no skill?
The no skills generally starts with seeing an action or hearing something that you don't enjoy and focusing on stopping that. So if they're whining and you try to tell them to stop whining, or they're throwing toys and your immediate focus is to get them to stop throwing toys, that to me is the no skills approach, which I've tried many, many times. And sometimes it's all I have and I just don't have space for it. And that's not going to go very well. And then I have to do some repair and cleanup afterwards. But when I focus on stopping what someone else is doing, I'm basically communicating that your needs don't matter, because they're doing something to meet needs. Everybody does things to meet their needs. So throwing toys and whining are an attempt to meet needs. So when I tell them to stop that, I'm basically saying, I don't care about your needs. And if I say I don't care about your needs, that's not going to be very connecting or supportive. So I have lots of examples, but everybody knows if somebody's whining, stop whining, I can't deal with this, or stop whatever, behave yourself. Usually you get the opposite of what you're saying. To me, whenever I do that, the whining escalates, the behavior escalates, and then I get more annoyed and we're both escalating and it's a mess. Does that sound familiar?
Oh, no. Yes, I can absolutely relate to that in so many occasions. And then the pro skills.
The pro skills is where you focus on yourself first, where you focus on your energy. Where is my body? Where is my tension? And you take a breath and you speak calmly. So you can say something like, oh, Matt, I'm talking to myself now. Oh, whew. In fact, this happened the other day in the car when Kylie brought something up that I'd handled poorly in the past around some stuff that happens at school. And I want to go right into telling her how to fix it, telling her how to do it differently, telling her what I didn't like about how she handled it. And the other day in the car, actually, I would say I get like a 80% for how I handled it, because I was noticing, I was aware. I was like, oh, Matt, you're feeling revved up. I can feel it in my chest. I'm getting tight here. I really want to tell her what to do. I'm really worried about how she's handling it. But just stay with empathy. Don't go into teaching or directing or telling her your opinion. And I was able to do that for a little bit. The problem was, as we got into it, I lost that connection with myself. And then I started veering into advice pretty quickly after a period of time. So it's like, if you're empathy and minutes are going by, all of a sudden I start veering off the road, and I'm like, oh, get the car, I'm going to crash. And you have to pull it back on the road. And you can tell because her reaction shifts. She goes from absorbing and softening the empathy to getting quiet or getting defensive. And then it's a sign that if I can just check back in again and start the steps over again, pause and notice again, ground myself again, take those 3 deep breaths, soften my body, and don't even worry about what she's saying at that point. The content doesn't matter as much as your state of your nervous system and your ability to connect with that person. A lot of people are like, oh, if I stop listening to them, it's rude or impolite. But actually, it's really important to stay in connection, to sometimes stop the content, following the content for a minute or two. And don't worry, when people are activated or passionate about something, they're going to repeat the content anyway. So you're going to get the gist of what's going on. So that's what, for me, I got the 80% because I was able to do the steps, but then I forgot to do them again when I started to veer off. And you might have to repeat the steps over and over again.
I love that. I love that it pulls you out of enmeshment. And I'm guessing that that's what made this experience different. Your ability to say, oh, Matt, right? That 1 second of, oh, Matt, allows you to pull out, take care of yourself, regulate yourself, and then show up differently. And yeah, you might need reminders, and that comes with practice. But but 80% is you'll take it.
Bringing it home.
So how do we bring this home?
Oh, I love the tenets of explain it, invite it, model it, and practice it. So explain it might look like something where you teach the kids that emotions are contagious. And just like a yawn, feelings spread. So when I'm calm, it helps you be calm. And when you approach something on calm, it helps me. In fact, Jordan will often say, "Hey, Dad, I'm noticing some tension. Are you feeling tense?" But she says it with a very calm, and just the way she says it and the curiosity, I notice my tension starts to calm down. So just that explaining it and helping give examples of how we can support each other is okay. And that, hey, when I'm really upset or angry, you can feel really upset or angry, or you can feel scared and I can be. So just helping them understand that. And then it's inviting it. So ask the kids to check in. Hey, how does your body feel when we're rushing? If I'm saying, come on, let's go, let's get ready. How does that feel? And then how does it feel when we slow down? So if I'm rushing someone, notice the tension in your body. And if I'm going slow and calm, notice how your body feels. And helping them to start differentiating the two. And then the modeling, it would be showing them out loud, sort of, I would verbally show the regulation. So I'll say out loud, hey, I'm feeling a little stressed right now. And now I'm going to take a deep breath so I can calm down and feel a little bit better. I'm going to calm my body right now. Oh, I'm doing this little exercise where I breathe and I have my hand on my arms. There's a little bit of touch there. And I'm feeling my feet on the floor and I'm doing a webe breath. So I'm talking out loud, which shows them how to do it and it calms me at the same time. And then the practicing it is just a daily habit. I love having them fire drill it, which means let's pretend we're upset even when we're not, or tense or even when we're not. Having practice around it of calming rituals before bed. We love doing the webe calm before bed. And then we love practicing webe breaths. So I'll sometimes randomly say, hey, let's just take a practice webe breath together. And they'll do it together. We'll do morning check-ins around how we're feeling. Sometimes we're driving to school. I'll say, does anybody want to do 5 webe breaths? So, it's helping to practice it whenever we can, like those calming nutrients. Let's send some to our kids as well, and then show them how to access it.
I love that. And to that, the one thing that I might add is also identify where potential triggers are for dysregulation. For example, right before bedtime, or the transition from coming home from school, or if your kids are involved in activities right before a big soccer game or a theater show. So the more that we can identify ones that happen commonly, we're not going to capture them all, but the ones that happen pretty regularly, the easier it is to implement the bringing it home skills.
Yeah, I like that.
Just one last thing.
We as parents are our child's emotional anchor. And when we can steady ourselves, they find their calm in us.
We're all one nervous system. And as parents, we can have a lot of impact on that nervous system as a family.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about yelling calm down. It's about modeling calm.
Your experiences and feedback are invaluable to us.
Please email us at parents@webetogether.com with your own cheers and tears, as well as any questions or stories you'd like to share.
Thanks again for joining us today, and we look forward to connecting with you next time.